Aloha. I wanted to make a quick video in reference to a video that was shared with me by a friend from the Feather Collective. So thank you for sharing this with me. This video was uploaded by Geo Shifter. I don't know if he did the video. I don't think he did the video, but maybe just uploading it. But it's on his channel. It's called More Land and More Life on the Flat Earth, Worlds Beyond the Poles. It's a 20-minute video. It goes into pretty good detail on a review of a book entitled The Worlds Beyond the Poles. And to start it off, I'll just read this. This is the actual Amazon, like, as of this moment. The book is not available, but it comes with this disclaimer, I guess. It says, Worlds Beyond the Poles, published in 1959, is controversial and not about Hollow Earth. Evidently, the book was published to damage the reputation of the Hollow Earth information available up to that point. The book is nothing but illogical misinformation, an attempt to discredit the true story published in late 1940s and 1950s of Admiral Byrd's successful expeditions to Inner Earth. Contents: the changing scene, extrasensory perception, connected universe, modern Columbus seeks Queen Isabella, disclosing southern land, corridor into the heavens above, stratosphere revelations, journey over Earth's skylight, roads of illusion, on Earth as it is in heaven, into the unknown, 2,000 miles overland beyond the North Pole, comparison of values, magnetic respiration of the universe, master builders, luminous sky prints, fulfillment of prophecies, endless worlds and mansions and tribes that mark the way. You have been warned. So, whatever that's about, I would recommend checking out the video if you can come. I haven't read the book yet. It's not available. I guess he mentioned that it's available on eBay for like $500. But yeah, it's a pretty good video. It opens up the conversation of Flat Earth a bit more into kind of like how I was explaining and felt inside about my own idea of the Flat Earth as a whole, because I perceive it more from the interdimensional or the dimensional perspective of it's not necessarily this contained environment. See, because the globe model was invented in order to create a contained environment for the collective or the masses to rally behind and limit their perspectives of reality as a whole. So you don't understand the infinite. You don't understand dimensions. You don't understand realms of experience outside of the physical realm when you are confined to a globe model. So that is it's a confinement, like a prison. It's a prison for your mind, a prison for the expansion, the lack of expansion of your consciousness. It's a prison for that. So how I'm seeing it, and always also understanding the flat earth being on the United Nations flag, knowing that these so-called powers that be, the control grid as a whole, are aware of this, and it makes sense that in order to sell something new, when they're already coming up with the New World Agenda, New World Religion, New World Order, all that other stuff, New Age movement, all this new stuff is not new. It's very ancient. But in order to adjust the control grid to the level of consciousness that the collective has gotten to in this moment, they'll have to give you something more. And this is why quantum physics is out there. Neil deGrasse Tyson is being pumped into the scene talking about flat earth, even though he's talking about it being ridiculous, and his character just being obviously full of shit. He is out there to be full of shit. If you understand his character, look at the entire so-called news and the late shows, like he was on Bill Maher, he was on the Larry Wilmore show, he was on, like, when he was dropping the mic, Obama was dropping the mic to prove gravity and all this other stuff, and to prove like whatever it is. If you see this as a movie and step back and watch it like you're in a movie theater and watching it, it'd be a shitty movie, first of all. And the characters in that movie would be obviously full of shit. Neil deGrasse Tyson, is his character as an actor is obviously full of shit. So he's out there to maintain. So he could easily switch up the vibe in whatever. Either he's out there to be like a patsy for the old control system, or they'll utilize him later on in the future to be like, and switch up his whole personality and not be the actor anymore. Because you can see him as being an actor now, not be an actor anymore, and switch into like, oh, well, I was just saying all this stuff just so we can, because I had to, like I had to or whatever. I'm just throwing this stuff out there because those characters are obviously full of shit. And people understand Obama is limited by the system that he's working within. That's like a thought pattern, and I'm always thinking that they're going to utilize Obama. They haven't used the Obama card yet. They only cashed in on the first black president card, so everybody would just shut up for 8 years and not make any moves and put all their hope and change into one individual, so you won't hope and change shit in your own life. So I'm seeing the same thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson and this whole thing. These are cards that are not being played on purpose, because the idea of the bad guy system needs to be amplified even more. As people are unaware of the bad guy system, this is why there's all this Illuminati talk, all this cabal talk, and all this stuff, because they have to create bad guys in order to create the idea of the superhero or the good guys. And whatever those good guys are going to be selling to the population is going to be a deeper layer of the control grid. So this is like the double back trickster mentality. Everything understanding being upside down and backwards. You can see that the control grid is very intelligent. It's not just going to roll over and let the system just be whatever it's going to be based upon what the people are looking into. They're going to fight. It's that so-called they is going to create another version of the university system or intellect in order to sell to people. And the setting of the platform with Admiral Byrd and going into that hollow earth stuff, whether they say it's a hollow earth and try to keep it a spherical whatever and talk about dimensions and quantum physics and all that from there, or they say that it's like a toroidal field where you just kind of like circle within yourself, there is no end to it, or it's a contained environment, which actually makes more sense to me because it's more simple, and they need to sell something simple, something that they can turn into a toy and sell. So the whole enclosed ice ring dome environment makes sense. And this book kind of goes into the everlasting expansiveness of the earth plane as a whole, which is how I was experiencing and was never really comfortable with the whole ice circle, the map and everything in there. I can see that it makes sense to one in one space, but I was never like comfortable with it, because I was seeing this as a plane of existence, like a total plane of existence. And when you understand like the as above so below stuff, I was seeing this physical reality as the a vibratory space, a frequency that you can literally fall into out of the vagina gateway, that stargate, and then when you pass on, you go into the higher realms. And seeing the stars and understanding the stars as our ancestors, the planets as our ancestors and guides, and being a representation, also an as above so below perspective of that, are your horoscopes. So when you're born into this physical reality, your personality is largely based upon where the planets are in that moment, where the sun is in that moment, where the moon is in that moment, where they are in relation to themselves. So you are a representation of that. And how I'm seeing the stars is that each star is representative of each individual or each soul. And they're actually not like physical things, like they're put out there by the university system. It's not like a physical body, like especially like the planets that are out there that they say are planets like that. It's an energetic representation of who and what you are and were at one point, because we're all, as being all connected in energy and consciousness in spirit, as spirit, then you are a reflection not only in the physical reality understanding of it, but experiential wise, like interdimensionally, like through dimensions you are and have experienced experiencing and have experienced spaces in like the Jupiter vibration and the Venus vibration. Like you have all this energy, and all the other stars are, how I'm seeing it, and I'm just throwing this how I perceive my reality, they're not actually stars, they're star gates. So if we see this as a plane of existence, same goes for the planets too. And you can see how people act a certain way. They relate to like the Aries and all that other stuff. They have relations to Aries and all the gods like Zeus, and how it's related to all the ancient Egyptian gods and all that other stuff were founded from that perspective first before it turned into like Zeus and all that other stuff. Anyway, Jupiter. I see this stuff as like energetic stargates. So a soul can come through an experience with multiple frequencies at a certain time frame to experience their reality on the physical vibration based upon the stars and the so-called planets. Conversely, when you pass on, this is why the ancient people say the stars are your ancestors. So when you pass on, you go through that stargate, you rise. This is where the whole heaven space comes in, and the whole hell space is you go down. And when you go up, you're rising into, so you're going in through the stargate and seeing it as much as an observable space as you can in this moment. The sky is not being like the galaxy like that, but the sky, the blackness of the sky actually being like a washer in between this realm and the next realm. So it's funny using these terminology. So like a bolt, this physical reality is a bolt, and in between this bolt and the next bolt is a washer, and the vastness of space, the blanket, the fabric of space, which you are, the dark energy, the dark matter, the melanated individuals, the neuromelanated individuals, which is the all of the conscious beings, are actually the fabric and the stargate. And the physical reality as we know it through the globe model is largely based upon keeping you from understanding beyond the limitations. So when you pass on, you go through your star into the next realm, and it's not as distant as we think it is, because we are forever experiencing and manifested as that reality in every moment. And this is where the whole higher self perspective comes in and all that. It's literally in your next space. And how this actually makes more sense to me, from another perspective, is in both a dream that I had and a DMT experience that I had, which were very similar in that I shared this dream before, and I think I shared the DMT experience before too, but to quickly go through it. In a dream I had a few years ago, I was the most lucid I had been in a flying dream, and before I started to fly, I was standing just on the ground, and I was looking around, and I realized I was in a dream, and I said, oh, I would like to fly. And then I was so lucid, I actually thought to myself like where I would like to go, and I thought that I would just want to go straight up and see how far I could go. I've done this before, but I've woken up in the middle of the dream. I've never done it like lift off from the ground. So as soon as I thought it, I took off and I flew over the ground area, through the skyline, through the clouds, into the light blue space, into the dark blue space, and then got to a point to where it started to turn black, and I realized that as space, and I slowed down and actually stopped at the edge of where the dark blue tapped into the blackness of space, and I could stick my hand through that merge, and as my hand went further into that blackness, I could feel it getting cold. So it felt like sticking your hand in cold water or something, but it was airy water, it wasn't wet, it was just water, cold. So in that moment, I'm still just hovering there thinking, am I going to go any further? And then in that thought, before I could even finish that thought, I realized I'm in a dream and I can do anything. Nothing would mess with me. So before I could finish that thought, I projected myself through the blueness into that blackness, and I could feel the coldness go down my arm, down my body, all the way down to my feet. And oh shit, I don't know if that cut off. All the way down to my feet, and in that space, that's when I shifted into another experience, another reality, and that reality was a cloud sort of plane, like you can understand the Great Plains. This was like a plane that was all clouds. There were some towers here and there, but it was just the most beautiful, quiet, and comfortable, like nature, like being, if you're like the quietness of nature, being in like a forest or something, but that same feeling being in the clouds. And the lighting around everything was all sunset. Everything that was lit up was the color of sunset, and light was coming from every direction. I was the only one there. It was completely quiet, and I was the only one there. And I remember thinking to myself, like, after sitting for a while, thinking, this is kind of boring. And then, but before that, I was thinking like, oh well, this must be kind of like something like a heaven or something like that, or some kind of transition point between here and heaven, and just feeling like an angel space in there. I was just like, oh, okay, this is what this is all about. And then after that, I was like, this is kind of boring. I'm up here by myself. I'd have to. That's when I realized I would have to go back through the clouds to get back to an experience. So that's what I did, and as I like kind of shifted out of the clouds, that's when I woke up out of that dream, shifted back into this reality. But that was one of my most lucid dreams I've ever had in relation to this place that I actually revisited again in a DMT experience about 3 years ago. And this time I was with a friend, and he was on his own trip. We were both on DMT together in our own space, but he was on his own trip, like super happy and really laughing a lot. And in this part of the trip for me, I just popped up into that cloud reality, and I was sitting there, and I could still hear him too. I was still kind of anchored. I was still anchored in this space, but my vision, my reality was based upon this, the surrounding environment of that cloud city again, or the cloud plains. This time, I looked out about 300 feet in the sky and about 3 cloud blocks, like city blocks, but cloud blocks away. I saw these 2 cherubs with Hawaiian leis, and people don't know leis are the flower things that people put over them when they get off of airplanes and stuff like that. They had in each arm these flower leis, two cherubs, and they flew. They kind of like hovered in behind me, and I remember just being completely still, and I couldn't look at them. I could see them in my peripherals coming towards me. I knew they were coming directly towards me, and I couldn't move at all. I was just in like a meditative space. My body was still. They flew behind me and put these leis over my head, and I just remembered that whole experience was a celebration of some sort, and I could feel that the comfort of their presence still being right behind me. And then that space, I sat there in that space for a while, just being totally enveloped in that moment, and being like, okay, well, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, it was a confirmation for everything, and everything was cool. But yeah, and then once they flew off, I felt like I was getting something in that moment, but then, which was also like how I felt them fly or move away, whatever they did. That's when I came back, opened my eyes, and came back into the trip with my friend. But anyway, I was in that same environment. I was in that. Everything looked exactly the same. The color, the lighting, the colors, the cloud itself. But instead of me being there by myself, there were these 2 cherubs that flew in. And that was during a DMT experience. So that's relating the DMT experience to the dream space. And why I shared that mostly is because to show the importance of how important our dreams are, and that relation to the understanding of frequency and vibration. So when you are tapping into psychedelics, you are raising your vibration. This is why this stuff is criminalized. You're raising your vibration, and when you raise your vibration, you can perceive more of your reality outside of the physical reality. And I don't know if I mentioned this in this video before, but the ancient indigenous people understood that the star beings, or the beings that exist in and around us, vibrate at a frequency that is higher than our perceived frequencies can pick up. So they could be around us, but we won't be able to see them or experience them. And this is what happens when you go into psychedelics, ayahuasca, and even in your dream spaces, and that's a higher vibration. You're picking up. This is how your dreams can go from one experience to another. Like, you're actually creating and experiencing that reality from a direct connection to the source. Like, you don't have your body or the physical reality in between the laws of the physical realm to dictate how and what you're experiencing. So this is why we're separated so much. This is why the globe model was installed into the system, to separate us from from our reality, our ancestors, each other, the stars, the planets, everything. And this book goes into more explaining that in an image where it shows the plane of existence that we exist on, and then having that in between space, and then the next plane, the celestial plane, and then it just, how I envision it, it just keeps going. When you understand that as your reality, you're not inhibited by any kind of generic or artificial rules of your reality. You're like, this is how the university system keeps itself afloat, is by telling you they don't understand how the pyramids were built. They don't understand the connections that the ancient indigenous people had to the stars. They don't understand their cosmology, because if they go into that, then you will start to step into this realm of infinite space and beings that are a direct reflection of source energy, that are higher than this destructive mentality through of the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, and the so-called powers that be as we know it today. In order for them to make themselves out to be God of you within the university systems and their generic theories and generic laws, that's what they have to do. They have to create those theories and laws, so you worship that science, the public education system, that's the church. So when you're going to church, you're worshiping the God of the demigod, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the demigod, Bill Nye, the demigod, Michio Kaku, these demigods who are put out there to shut you down, actually limit your reality, and bully you into worshiping them even further. This is why they do that. They just put them down. Come on, you guys are talking about flat earth, get out of here. Really? Come on. Instead of actually entertaining the idea that they could be wrong, and could step into another realm, which I think it's pretty much already being prepositioned by the United Nations and all that other stuff, but it's just waiting to expand itself and implode other systems before they can expand the system as a whole. So that's pretty much my review of that video that was out there, and how I perceive the physical reality and the earth plane as a whole. I just wanted to share that, to kind of put that out there, as because I shared this perspective in videos before, mostly in where I was talking about flat earth, concave, hollow earth, and something else, whatever it was. But that was more in reference to the way those are set up. This video is more in reference to how I feel about the reality that I'm experiencing right now, and still just leaving it open, and forever expanding that through understanding the evidence as it's presented to me, and just leaving it there and not creating any kind of structure. So I mean, it has its own structure, and it develops on its own pretty much. But yeah, this video is to share that, and also to share the perspective that I have on the control grid, as gearing up to sell another version of reality, that can be another version of reality based upon limitation and control, and in order to lock down this new level of consciousness that the collective is moving into, by even questioning their reality as a whole. So yeah, if you could come across this book or whatever, check the book out. If not, just check the video out at least. I'm gonna continue looking into every aspect that interests me, and continue on this process. And if you have anything to add to the conversation, or the what I was bringing up in this video, please leave it in the comment section. And yeah, thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.